Hello, welcome to Common Sense with Tom Schmitz. I'm your host, Tom Schmitz, and I'm coming to you from the Power Plant Business Incubator in Ocala, Florida. I must make the audience aware that the views expressed on this show are those of the host and the guest only, and in no way reflect the opinions of the City of Ocala, the County of Marion, the CEP, or the Power Plant Business Incubator. Just a housekeeping note after I turn my phone off, because that's what hosts do. They leave their phones on and disrupt shows. It's one of those live things, folks. We're live, and I forgot to do that this morning. Just a housekeeping note for all the people who have texted in and talked about the ongoing paint collage of mural and paint cans and brushes, drop cloths. This is Ocala Marion County mural that is being done by a very talented artist, Rebecca Harvick. It is a work in progress. She is diligently working on it, so bear with us. It will be a finished product very soon. My guest today is Pamela Calero, the Executive Director of the Riley Arts Center and the Ocala Symphony Orchestra. But before we get to our guest, just a small note. Yesterday, an American hero passed, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the importance not only of a pioneer, but a great statesman. John Glenn, well, he was the third American in space and the first to orbit the Earth. He also served the state of Ohio in Congress for over 20 years. Then at the age of 77, he became the oldest person in space when he put back on the astronaut suit and boarded the shuttle Discovery to once again orbit the Earth. John Glenn made a lot of contributions as a pioneer of the space program, the Apollo program, the Mercury program. He also did a lot to help legislation in this country in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. A true American hero, maybe the last great American hero, or one of the last great American heroes, passed yesterday at the age of 95. John Glenn, sir, you will be missed. Now with that, I'll welcome in my guest today, Pamela Calero, the Executive Director of the Riley Arts Center and the Ocala Symphony Orchestra. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning.
Now, do you prefer Pamela or Pam?
Pamela.
Pamela.
Fine.
Okay. See, because I'm Thomas or Tom, and I despise the name Thomas, so I go by Tom.
Well, my mom always said, I gave you the name Pamela. Pamela is your name, so I try to stick with that.
So there you go, Pamela Calero. Now, you've been with the Riley Arts Center and the Ocala Symphony Orchestra, is it 3 years?
3 years. Yeah.
3 years. The Riley Arts Center's been open for a year.
Yes.
Before then, the home of the Ocala Symphony was the Ocala Breeder Sales. It's been 1 year now that the Riley Arts Center has changed places. Tell us, because the Ocala Breeder Sales was a great place for the orchestra. It was served the orchestra fine for a very long time. But tell us just one of the things that makes Pamela's heart warm about the Riley Arts Center that the OBS couldn't offer.
Well, it's easy, the whole experience. I love when I see people walk in, they grab something from the concession stand, whether it's a glass of wine or a Coke for their child. They walk in, and if it's people's first time, they're like, wow, this is a place where I come and I can see music, and it's just the whole experience. They have a nice time, and it feels like an arts center. It feels like you're going there to watch the symphony or to see a play or to see the ballet. I just love seeing people get dressed up and come out to have a nice time, whether it's a date or parents, night out. It's always a lot of fun. That's my favorite part.
I must confess, the first time I got to see the Riley Arts Center was the media day before it opened.
Yes.
And I got to see it from a perspective for the first time ever that a lot of people don't get to see. Because I came through the media room where you had us set up, and I went backstage and I walked out on the stage. The first time I ever saw the interior of the building, the actual symphony hall.
You were on the stage.
I was on the stage.
So that was you.
And to see how you kept the integrity of the building, which harkens back to the 40s, with the wooden roofing and everything that's up top and everything, and to see the modernization of the seats and everything though, but with the old school look of the wood that is in the roof and everything, it took my breath away, to be honest, because it was an amazing scene. Not everybody gets that view.
You're right. And
but that's a pretty
I wish
good
they
view.
did. That's a great view, because you see it from the musicians or the artist perspective when you're on stage, and just seeing all of the seats, all the lights, like you said, the truss system. It is beautiful. I'm glad you got to see that.
I did. I got to see it that way, and it was a very good way. Now, I must say I'm a little aggravated with you, because you're the executive director of the Riley Arts Center, which means you're in charge of scheduling, and I'm a little aggravated.
Who are you? Is it someone you're looking to have there?
No.
What's
No.
wrong? What's wrong? You tell me.
Well, let's see. Led Zeppelin came in on the Led Zeppelin tribute band was on a Thursday. The Pink Floyd tribute band was on a Thursday. The Purple Rain Prince tribute band was on a Thursday. This city should operate on what Tom can attend, which is Friday and Saturdays.
Is that Tom's trivia night or
It
Tom's
is. It's Tom's
night to
trivia
stay at
night.
home?
No, it's
Okay.
Tom's trivia night. I'm hosting
Okay.
trivia that night. So,
Okay.
but I get to live vicariously through people that go
Yeah.
to those events, and I'm to understand the Purple Rain, the Prince Purple Rain, was a very big hit for the Riley Arts Center.
It was. We had, and what's fun is, so Purple Rain, we had a lot of the same people that came to Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, but then, different people. So you're finding that, with every different show, you have a different set of people that like to come to that, or you have the same group. It's just, there's something for everyone, and that's what we're finding with a lot of the shows, is it can appeal to someone new. And so Purple Rain and Led Zeppelin are, to me, pretty different.
Well, Prince's one main influence in his life was Jimmy Page, though.
Well, yes, okay, so you got me there. But I really...
But I understand what you mean. It's a diverse... You would think that the people that listen to Prince and listen to Led Zeppelin would be two completely different places on the scale, and you find that they intermingle real well.
They do, and I'm sorry you missed that.
Now, do you find that, because that's the point I wanted to make, is when I brought up Led Zeppelin, the Pink Floyd tribute band, you're going to have the Rumors tribute band, the Fleetwood Mac tribute band coming up very soon, that I saw, by the way, at the House of Blues in Orlando recently. And you're going to have them coming up. So it's not just people, when they think Riley Arts Center, I've talked to a lot of people, they think, oh, where the orchestra's at. There's so much more at the Arts Center than, by the way, fantastic orchestra we have here.
Yes.
But there's so much more that Riley offers than just the orchestra.
There is. So we've got our resident ballet company, Dance Alive, who performs there. We just had Nutcracker on Tuesday night. Fantastic performance, had over 500 people there. We have, of course, plays. We rent it out to other people in the community. So I know Rondo, he's had his, Feed the Need Blues Fest fundraisers there. United Way's had their fundraisers there. We've been able to get kind of experimental. Chad Taylor with Insomniac Theater and his group, they've put together some shadow casts that are first time they've ever been done in the world. And they've been fantastic.
So not a Rocky Horror Shadowcast, but other movie Shadowcast.
Right. We've done Jaws. We've done Jurassic
Jaws
Park.
Shadowcast. Wow.
Yes, and we did an encore performance of that because it was so good and so well attended. And I think
I would love to see that Shadowcast where he goes, "Gonna need a bigger boat."
Yeah, that part. Everyone knew the line, and those are films everyone loves. But Jurassic Park is the most recent one we did, and that was a lot of fun. A lot of people came to that.
For those who don't know, a Shadowcast is when the actual movie that Hollywood produced is playing on the screen. There's a group of gifted actors who are on stage in front of the screen acting out the exact thing you're seeing on the movie screen. Yeah. And it's kind of a cult thing with Rocky Horror Picture Show, but it has become recently where people are shadowcasting all kinds of movies. I can't wait till somebody shadowcasts Caddyshack.
That's a new one. I haven't seen that on the running list of things to shadowcast.
That'd be a great movie to shadowcast.
Yeah, that would. I like.
Where'd that go,
Caddyshack.
Danny? Right in the lumberyard.
Well, we'll get you to direct it, or you can star in it.
I could.
We'll see.
Believe me, I know, or Goodfellas. We could.
Goodfellas.
We probably couldn't do Goodfellas at the Riley, though.
A little violent.
Yeah, a little violent. So let's talk about it's 706 seats. Is that right?
700 on the dot.
700 on the dot. Because I know there was. At one time, there was like 704, 706.
We have some box seats in the back that sometimes are used and sometimes are not, so it changes around.
Because I'd always thought, who came up with that? Okay, we got 700 chairs. That's not enough. Okay, how many more we need? Let's put 6 more in.
We wanted, to be right around that 700 mark, and we made it. And so it was, some maneuvering, but that's where we're at.
One of the unique things that I think people don't realize can happen at the Riley is the first 3 or 4 rows can go away, and you can get like a lounge or like a supper club type deal where you can put tables in and like couches and have like kind of a lounge VIP area that is very unique to a room like the Riley, that you have seats that can be taken in and taken out.
Yeah, and that's a really cool function. Yeah, it's the first 4 rows can be taken out, and we've done that a couple times, whether it's for a banquet style event, or if I know Hospice recently did an event where we did cafe tables down on the floor. And so you can kind of have that mixed seating where there's cafe tables and you're watching a show, and then you can also, of course, still sit in the regular, seating. So it really mixes it up. It's good for events. We can also use the stage for events. But yeah, that's a really great function that we thought about in the beginning because we knew we or someone else would definitely want to use that.
The acoustics in the building are incredible. I know that.
Yeah.
I know there's some people that are going to watch this and say, yeah, that's all great. It's a wonderful place. But why is my tax dollars going to help it? I don't need to help that. It needs to help itself. What is the function or the need for a place like the Riley Arts Center in Ocala?
Sure. So the Riley Arts Center is actually, it's a 501c3, we're a nonprofit, but we rent the building for $1 a year from the city. We pay all of our electricity, we pay everything in-house. But the reason it's important is because for a couple reasons. I'd say one, economically, for business. When businesses are looking to move to Ocala and they're trying to find, what are my employees going to do? What's something attractive? Is there education? Is there culture? We've got it right here. We've got a lot of culture in this space. I think it's important for our future generations of people in Ocala. For instance, I grew up here in Ocala, and there wasn't a lot. I grew up with the Appleton and the Civic Theater, which were fantastic, but I always was wanting more. And now to be an adult and see children come in and they're able to see everything from the orchestra on a Saturday night to the ballet on a Friday night, that makes me excited. And it's important for our community to be able to have a place where they don't feel like it's just one type of art, it's multiple types of art. And also, just right now, it's a huge part of our downtown landscape, and we've had fun contributing to what's going on in Tuscola Park, what's going on right downtown, the Midtown, master plan. We're part of all of that, and that's why it's important.
Midtown, North Magnolia, Gaslight. It's one of those names.
It's happening.
Happening.
We know what it means.
Right.
It's there.
So one of the things that I think is a huge advantage of the Riley is that it is another step in a action to repair, clean up, beautify, whatever the term you want to use, an area that had become blighted. And people can argue and say, you're being mean-spirited. Tuscola Park had become an eyesore in this city. That you can't argue that. With the combination of the vagrant population and the Muscovy ducks who decided to take their relief anywhere they wanted to, which was on park benches, tables, wherever, the Tuscola had become an unusable asset in the city of Ocala. The city has worked very diligently to clean the water there, to clean up the issue of panhandling and vagrancy there. They've done things with the Discovery Center to make it more friendly for families. Now with the Riley Arts Center. The Riley Arts Center is another piece in the beautification, the cleaning up, whatever term you want to use, to make Tuscola once again a viable option for taxpayers to use as a park.
Yes, and even in the time that I've been there in this past year, the window in my office is on the second floor, and I can look out onto Tuscola. Yesterday I saw a couple doing yoga while their daughter was, playing around in the park. I see families picnicking. I see people walking in the evenings and in the mornings. You're out there.
I do it every morning.
People are out there and they are enjoying Tuscola, and it's fun because then they get to see, the Riley there, and maybe sometimes they wonder what's that, or they think, I went there last week for this or that. But you're right, it's part of the beautification and the cleaning up, and it's really been fun to watch, and it's been a lot of people working hard. And I really think it's a resurgence of that area. It's our own little Central Park, which I think you've said before.
It is. It's like Lake Eola in Orlando, but just a smaller version, or Ocala's Central Park. It really is. So let me ask you, because everybody's saying, well, this is all nice sugar coating and everything. There's been some negatives with the Riley Arts Center, I'm sure, over the year because it's a new adventure. What is some of the problems you've faced with the Riley in the first year and some of the solutions you've come up with?
Well, I'd say, we've had over 100 events at the Riley in the first year. So there's a couple events that maybe weren't as well attended. And some people would say, well, I didn't know about that, or I didn't hear about it. And so it's probably part of our marketing was one challenge at the beginning. As a nonprofit, you're trying to find out every avenue you can to make sure people know what's going on. I think that's one challenge that we really had in the beginning that we're working on now. We've hired a marketing coordinator who specifically works to make sure we can get the word out. You're never going to reach everyone. That's one thing, and you're never going to please everyone, but we do our best, and I always do my best if someone doesn't have a good experience or they say, I didn't hear about that till later on. Well, let me make sure you hear about it now, or let me make sure you know about things now and try to fix it. I'd say that's probably one of our bigger challenges. And then, too, in the beginning, we were really short-staffed. It was about 3 of us working, and I don't know when we slept, but that was something that was a challenge in the beginning, too, just to make sure that it's a big building. And you have to make sure not only is the building okay, but is the programming okay, or are visiting artists okay? Those are some of the things that we learned, and I'd say were probably some challenges there at the beginning.
Will in a couple of years when the hotel is completed downtown, is that going to help with acts that are coming in? You see that as an advantage to the Riley Arts Center?
I do. Right now, we house all of our performers, out at different hotels. Some of them and their writers will say we'd like to be within walking distance of the Riley Arts Center. I think that'll be a big help. Whenever we have our orchestra weekends, we put all of our musicians, so we have about 35 musicians in a hotel, maybe 40 depending on how many are staying in a hotel, and they want to be able to get involved with what's going on in town too, and that would be really fun to have them be able to stay downtown. They go to dinner, they have lunch, they have breakfast, they shop, they come for rehearsals. I think that's going to really create a really good synergy with our performers and our downtown area.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask about probably the largest negative or controversy that the Riley faced last year.
Okay.
There was a performance at the Riley Arts Center that, by the way, had the who's who of women in this town as performers and MCs. Angie Lewis was in it. Kelly Hart was in it. Jay Bailey was in it. I know I'm leaving people out, but it was the who's who of people in our town.
Yeah.
And it was the play, The Vagina Monologues. And it caused quite a stir. And I had, on my former radio show, I had Mr. Dinkins, who was the person leading the effort to deny the monologues from being held at the Riley Arts Center. Yes. Had him on the show, and he explained his opposition to the Vagina Monologues being done in a city-owned building, and even tried to go to City Hall and get them to tell you that you could not have the monologues.
Yes.
So when that controversy come up, did that kind of catch you off guard, or did you kind of think, we may have some pushback here, and was there a plan in place already?
I knew that the name, the Vagina Monologues, may catch the attention of some people in a negative way, but we made sure that, there are tons of, this play has been going on for years.
22 years.
22 years, raised so much money for, women's issues, and, we chose a poster that was very pared down. And,
it was not the one that I saw in Atlanta. When I went to see the Vagina Monologues in Atlanta, the poster that they had in Atlanta, the one you had was like a Disney version of what they had in Atlanta.
Yeah, I knew, okay, some people may be off guard, and everyone has their own belief system and, what they think is art and, all that. But the fact of the matter was there was nothing bad about the play. It really highlights, things that we're trying to combat, right now, in our community. And, him drawing attention to it actually was a help for us in some ways. And it was very successful. We raised, I believe it was $13,000 for Pace Center for Girls. All the funds went to them. We're going to do it again this year. And I'm very...
monologues again?
Yes.
Is Kelly Hart going to be the monologue that she was last year?
I haven't talked to her about it yet.
That was the highlight of the show.
Okay,
because I was like, wow, Kelly didn't even have to act for this.
She did a great job.
She did a wonderful job. Angie Lewis is the MC, did a great job.
Yes.
It was very well received. And by the way, for those that don't know, yes, there are some provocative times in the Vagina Monologues, but there's one very, very poignant scene about a young woman who was in, I believe, in Serbia or Bosnia-Herzegovina,
I think it's Bosnia. Mm-hmm.
where she is repeatedly gang raped. And if you think that's provocative, you got a whole other set of issues. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, it was one of the most well-attended events you've had.
It was. We were almost sold out. And everyone came because of the cause. Everyone knew all the funds went to Pace Center for Girls. That's an important, organization in our community, which I'm actually on the board for as well now. And it was great though. It was great. And, I tried to take that as a learning experience. And, absolutely everyone has their own opinions, and that was fine. But in the end, this is what needed to happen. And it also brought up a whole nother issue of censoring art in our community. It's a very slippery slope, and right now we're having such a resurgence of the arts and people who are working hard to make our community a place where people can enjoy art in all its different forms. And to have, to have had something like that censored would have been, I think, a pushback.
And I know that people will say, well, but it wasn't something that some people say, but it wasn't something we needed to have in a city building, because the slippery slope is now what's the next level? Will we go to something more pornographic? That's not going to happen, folks. This was a play that has been very well received all across the country, and to say we'll devolve to a red light district, common sense says you're entirely wrong there. So with that, we'll get off that subject. Now let's talk about upcoming events at the Riley, because you have some events coming up. I know you have a calendar. You can go to RileyArtCenter.com if you want to see it. Mm-hmm. The upcoming events, we have them right here. The Riley Art Center presents one-man Star Wars trilogy. Tell me about this, because this seems like, is this going to be a one-man show and do the entire Star Wars trilogy?
Yes, so it's 90 minutes. It's almost like if you've heard of Shakespeare Abridged.
Yes.
It's just like that, but for Star Wars. One guy, the tech writer is so simple. So it's just, him up there, and I think there's, Mike, and that's about it. But he's so talented, and it's been well received all over the country, and I believe over the seas. He's
because I envision the scene in Tommy Boy behind the fan. Luke, I am. that's what I'm envisioning. So it's going to be much better than that.
I think it's a little more polished than that. But yeah, he's going to be here, and what we're trying to do is encourage people, go get caught up on the trilogy, and then because that night, I believe at midnight, is when the new Star Wars comes out. So why not make a whole night of it?
Or maybe
it's the next day, but it's
I think it's that night at midnight. I think it's in 24 hours. I know that. Yeah. So, and that's another diverse performance. Mm-hmm. That's not just an orchestra performance. Yeah. Here's a one-man show for Star Wars, which is going to be unique. And a lot of Star Wars people, they may not publicly walk around saying, may the Force be with you, but then when they get an opportunity and they think they can be around like-minded people, you will be quite surprised at the people that you'll see that turn out to a Star Wars event. Yeah. So now let's talk about the outdoor stage.
Okay.
Because I'm a festival guy. Okay. Like I just got my tickets for Rockville and Jacksonville in April. Nice. Any chance I get to see Def Leppard, Seether, and The Offspring, I'm going to see. So, with that being said, we have an outdoor stage right next to the Riley. Mm-hmm. Is there any plans, and I know Janie, you'll see this, and you'll say, there goes Tom again, but I hate the concrete jungle that is Citizen Circle. And I understand the splash pad's there, and the kids have a great time, and blah, 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 who cares? This guy doesn't. Remember, the opinions on this show belong to me. This guy thinks that when you have music festivals and you have day-long festivals with food trucks and with vendors and all, it should be done in a park setting with water and grass where you can lay on and everything. And oh, by the way, we have that at Tuskwilla Park in the Riley Art Center. Yeah. Are there any plans to have more outside concerts and festivals, whether it be by the Riley Center, by the Riley Art Center, or people who are doing it as fundraising events?
Yeah, absolutely. And we just, on a side note, we just got the, and maybe if someone hasn't seen it yet, the cover put on our outdoor stage.
The shell.
The shell, and it's So we have that put on. I know that Janie and the Phil Downtown, they are working on having some concerts there. I know at least one, I think in February, but I'll let her roll that out because I don't know the details. And then I know the city is using it for some of their, they have, trying to think, they have a couple festivals in the, I think in February. And then again, like Arbor Day, you know, they do a whole thing for that. I know we just did our Oktoberfest out there, and that was, you know, we had a couple problems with the dates, but yeah, I mean, the short answer is we are, and everyone's looking at that. It's a great system, especially now that we have the cover on it. So there are plans in the works. Don't worry, it's coming.
So with about a minute to go, I want you to give, if somebody's just new to Ocala, and you wanted to tell them in a short version why the Riley Arts Center is imperative for them to come to an event there, what would you say?
It encompasses your full experience in Ocala. I think you go to dinner. It doesn't have to be downtown. It could be anywhere in Ocala. Go have a great dinner. Try to eat locally, and then come to the Arts Center, enjoy a fantastic show, make great memories, and then come back and see us again. I think you have to come to the Riley Arts Center. Sometimes I wonder what it's like. I try to put myself in the perspective of someone who doesn't work there, and you know how I would love to go on a date to the Riley Arts Center, how I'd love to take my mom to see the ballet, how one day I want to take, you know, my children to see a show. I think of that, and I think it's just the perfect place to start making memories and enjoying yourself.
There you have it, folks, the perfect place to make memories. I'd like to thank my guest, Pamela Calero, the Executive Director of the Riley Arts Center and the Ocala Symphony Orchestra. Just one small note again before we go. Please, in your prayers today, or however you worship, make sure you take time out to be thankful for all we have here in Ocala and Marion County, and give a special thanks to an American hero, John Glenn, who passed away yesterday at the age of 95. Once again, for my guest, Pamela Calero, for my executive producer, Brian Morgan, and for Ryan, who you can't see, he's back there behind the scenes doing a lot too. I'm Tom Schmitz. Have a great morning, everyone.